Dear students, today we'll discuss with the applications of Gauss law. Here you see the first application is that electric field due to infinitely long straight wire. Electric field due to a long straight wire. Here you see a long wire is taken on which the charge Q is distributed. This is called a continuous charge distribution. The charge is not discrete or charge is not discontinuous. So that's why it is your what? The continuous charge distribution, or you can say this is since the charge is distributed on the line, so it is called linear charge distribution. Now in the linear charge distribution, so we have considered this infinitely long straight wire having uniform linear charge density lambda. And what is lambda? Lambda is equal to Q by L, charge by length. Whatever may be the length, or whatever may be the length, the linear charge density is always uniform. According to the length, you can calculate the charge by multiplying this lambda, because lambda is constant. To calculate the charge on a particular length, you can multiply this linear charge density with the length. Clear? Now here you see the P is the point of observation. For which or at which you have to find out the electric field strength. While applying the Gauss law, students, first you have to know that consider the charge or the charge distribution. So accordingly we have considered the linear charge distribution here for linear charge in terms of the long straight wire, and on which Q is the charge distributed over the length L, you can say, and P is the point of observation at which you are finding the electric field strength due to this linear charge distribution by applying the Gauss law. Now P is the point of observation situated at a distance R from this linear charge. Now after considering the the point of observation P point, as it is situated distance R from the linear charge. So now you have to consider or imagine a Gaussian surface. To apply Gauss law, you have to imagine the Gaussian surface, and through this Gaussian surface we will calculate the total electric flux. Then you will equate to Q by epsilon naught to get the electric field strength. So here the Gaussian surface which is to be chosen, that is in a cylindrical form. So imagine a Gaussian surface to be a cylinder of radius coincidentally R and length L. This length is your L. Such that the surface is coaxial with the linear charge, means on the axis of the cylinder this linear charge should be placed. Now we'll calculate what is the total electric flux through this cylindrical Gaussian surface. If you look at here, this total Gaussian surface, which is just cylindrical in nature, it consists of three parts. One curved surface, like your pen. This is your curved surface, and these are the flat surface. So S2 and S3 are the flat surface, and S1 is the your curved surface. Now through this will calculate the electric flux. Now here you see total electric flux uh, will be your phi, that is equal to integration of E vector dot ds vector is equal to integration E vector dot ds1 vector plus E vector dot ds2 vector plus E vector dot ds3 vector. Okay, now here you see phi is equal to E ds1. If you see E ds1, this is the elemental surface ds1 is taken at the point P, and as the charge is positive, the electric field radially outwards. So ds1 and E vector are parallel. So E ds1 cos 0 degree. Then after for ds2 or ds3, if you see this, the electric field direction is constant here, away from the charge, and this is the elemental surface taken ds2 or ds3. ds2 or ds3, you see here, if you see here, E vector and ds3 vector are perpendicular to each other. Similarly, E vector and ds2 vector are also perpendicular to each other. So we will write here, what should we write? We will write E ds2 cos 90 integration, here also E ds3 cos 90 degree. So this phi is equal to E ds1 integration, this will be 0 plus this will be 0 because cos 90 is your 0. So here phi is equal to integration E ds1 or E of integration of ds1. Okay. Now integration of ds1 is what? Integration of ds1 is the total curved surface area of cylinder. Total curved surface area will be how much? This will be 2 pi RL. So phi is equal to E into 2 pi RL. This will take equation 1. Now, but according to Gauss law, what is your phi? Phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. What may be the surface enclosed? The total flux enclosed by that surface will be your Q by epsilon naught. Now this is equation 2, equal to equation 1 and 2. We will get E into 2 pi RL is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Now E is equal to Q by 2 pi RL epsilon naught. Now 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught taken to be outside, Q by RL. Now here you see E is equal to 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught Q by L into 1 by R. Now this Q by L already you have taken, that this is your charge per unit length. So this will be E is equal to 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught lambda by r. So this is the electric field intensity due to line charge, and here in E is inversely proportional to the r. As you move, as the point of observation is moving from the line charge, as much as the electric field strength decreases. So this is about your what the first application, electric field due to the infinitely long straight wire. Now next we will go to the second application, electric field due to uniformly charged thin spherical cell. Now here you see, students, we have considered a thin spherical cell of radius capital R. Keep in mind, capital R is the all the time it is the radius of the thin spherical cell with center O. Now the positive charge is distributed uniformly on the surface of the spherical cell because it is charged, so the charge has to be distributed and the charge is Q. Clear? Fine. Now here you see, this is the spherical surface and P is the point of observation. P is the point of observation for calculation of electric field strength. P is the point of observation due to this thin spherical cell, and the P point is situated at a distance small r from the center of the thin spherical cell. As the point P is lying outside of this thin spherical cell, we can say r is greater than capital R. Clear? Now this Gaussian surface, the dotted one and the solid one, that is your thin spherical cell, they have the common center O. Clear? Now we'll find out the electric field strength at this point P. Due to this thin spherical cell of radius capital R. So imagine a Gaussian surface to be a spherical surface, to be a sphere of radius small r, such that the point P is lying on the surface of this your thin spherical cell, such that the point P is situated on the Gaussian surface. Clear? Keep in mind, the solid one is the spherical cell and the dotted line is the constructed imaginary Gaussian surface. Now as I said earlier, we have to calculate the electric flux here. Now for the electric flux, this phi is equal to EO vector dot ds vector. Why I have written EO vector? Because outside, point is lying outside. Here you see, as the positive charge is distributed over the surface, so the electric field is radially outwards, and you consider elemental surface around your point P and this elemental surface ds, then ds vector will be like this. So here EO vector and ds vector, they are in same direction, so this would be your EO ds cos of 0 degree integration. Now this phi is equal to EO ds integration, because cos 0 is equal to 1, and here you see EO integration ds. And what is ds? Integration ds is the total surface area of sphere, total surface area of sphere. So this integration ds will be how much? 4 pi r square. So this phi will be how much? EO into 4 pi r square. 4 pi r square. Now, but according to Gauss law, phi is how much? Q by epsilon naught. Now this is equation 1, this is equation 2. From these two equations, EO into 4 pi r square, 4 pi r square is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So EO is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r square. So this is the expression for the electric field intensity at a point lying outside of the spherical cell, and where r is the distance of the point of observation to this spherical cell. Now if you compare this expression with that of the electric field due to point charge, then they will be almost same. That is also electric field due to point charge is also 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r square. Clear? And electric field due to thin uniformly charged spherical cell point lying outside is also same. So these two fields are similar. That's how you can say that electric field due to this point charge is same as that produced by the spherical cell at external points. So for external point, the uniformly charged spherical cell behaves as that whole charge were concentrated at the center of the spherical cell, because you see, though the charge is distributed over the surface, not concentrated at the surface, but yes, from this expression one can conclude that as if the whole charge Q is concentrated at the center by seeing this expression. Okay, then we will go to the point lying inside. These are the case 2 for this thin spherical cell. Here you see this is the thin spherical cell of radius your r. Now the point P is taken inside, which is situated at a distance small r from this center of this spherical cell. Now imagine a Gaussian surface to be a sphere of radius small r, such that the point P is lying on the Gaussian surface. Now here also we will calculate the electric flux, and electric flux phi is equal to integration of EI vector dot ds vector. I stands for inside, and here you see the charge is radially outwards here. So here it will be also EI and ds vector, ds cos 0 degree. Now phi is equal to EI integration of ds, or EI into 4 pi r square. So phi is equal to EI into 4 pi r square. This is equation 1. And but according to the Gauss law, phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. What is the Q? Q is the net charge enclosed by Gaussian surface. Let me clear you, students. The charge is residing actually on the outer surface of the thin spherical cell. Whatever the charge is distributed over the spherical cell that is lying on its surface. And what Q is here? Q represents the charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface. Now no charge is enclosed within the Gaussian surface. For external points, the charge is residing on its outside surface. When the point is lying outside, the total charge enclosed by this Gaussian surface is also charge within the or charge on the your spherical cell. But when you take the point inside for internal points, now no charge is residing within the enclosed surface. So here Q will be 0. Q will be 0. So phi is your 0. Phi is 0. That's why EI is also 0. Phi is equal to Q by epsilon. Q is the net charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface, but no charge is enclosed by the Gaussian surface. So the phi will be 0. If you put phi is equal to 0 here, EI into 4 pi r square will be 0. So EI is equal to 0. So no electric field. Inside the spherical cell. Clear? Now for the surface, when you take that point P on the surface of the charged sphere, for that surface this both r will be equal. So small r is equal to capital R. So ES is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by small r जगह हमें capital R पकेगा. So ES is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square. Then taking these three expression EO, ES and EI, one can draw the graph between the electrical intensity E with respect to the distance of the point of observation from the center of the spherical cell. Now here you see at the when small r is equal to capital R, that is the surface, and that is constant. As r increases, here you see point lying on the surface, it will be your small r is equal to capital R. Point lying inside, small r greater than capital R, and point lying outside, the small r is greater than R. Clear? So on increasing your small r beyond your capital R, the EO decreases. So here E inversely proportional to R square. This is about your application number 2. In the next class we will see the third application. Thank you.